Coming in Hot is presented by Betano. The game starts now. Here are your hosts, Brent Wallace, Jason York, and Bobby Ryan.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Bobby Ryan remains on vacation. I'm your local podcaster, Brent Wallace, and he's the smartest man in hockey, Jason York. Yorkie, the summer's heating up, and so are the words off the ice with the Ottawa Senators.
Okay, before we get into this, you changed your Twitter handle to local podcaster. I love it. Yeah. How'd you do that, though, and keep your account? I didn't know you could do that.
Well, now that you don't have verified accounts, you can change whatever you want.
Oh, you can do whatever you want. I got you.
So I lost my check mark the day I got laid off because I changed my my name. So
good for you.
Yeah, I didn't think TSN Wally would still work very well. Yeah. Although, you know what's fun? I used to have my suits done locally in Ottawa by a local guy here named Suit Up Tailors, and they would always put your name inside the jacket. And I was like, well, Brent Wallace is kind of boring if you're going to. So I had them do a couple with TSN Wally. And now I don't know what to do with them. I don't feel like wearing them. So it's like,
kind of like a tattoo, isn't it? You got tattoo. It's similar to a tattoo.
Yeah, like I did everything. One time my Christmas tree, my first year in Ottawa, the top of my Christmas tree was a TSN mic flash. That was that's how I celebrated.
That's why you should never get a tattoo, kids, if you're listening to the pod today, because you never know what twists and turns your life may go.
Yes. Yeah. I will not be getting a Yorkie tattoo anywhere on my body. Okay, so let's move on, shall we? By the way, this show is always brought to you by Betano. So Yorkie, we were going to discuss a little bit of DJ Smith. We may still get to that. I've been trying for 2 shows now to discuss DJ Smith, and there were some.
We should.
There's some comments that made he's coming back. We haven't touched it. However, our good friend, as always, Ian Mendez, talked to Jeff Jackson, the agent for Alex DeBrincat. And by the way, I believe the DeBrincat counter may be on fire today. Just a heads up to keep notice of the DeBrincat counter. In the article, there was basically Jeff Jackson is tired of reading about his client and what his demands are through the Ottawa media. I think that's a good way to put it. He reached out to Ian after the reports were Alex DeBrincat's contract demands holding up trade from Ottawa Senators in the Post media. He said, quote, entirely false and without merit. Another quote, as far as I have been advised, there has been no agreement of any kind on an actual trade involving Alex, and I would require that before entering into actual negotiation. We are waiting patiently for that to happen. Then he finally added at the end, I shouldn't say at the end, but I think the key quote in all this is agents and players don't make trades. That's the GM's job. I believe that to be a shot across the bow of him, Jeff Jackson, who I've spoke with many times and has been very nice to me. He's had enough. I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah. So what? Where do you want to start here?
Well, first, if your agent is now coming out publicly because it's not something they like to do, I consider it a last resort. That's a lot of built up frustration, first of all. How do you take the article?
Well, here's the thing, because a lot of people are going to be upset. You could see people now have been getting upset at the player, DeBrincat, getting frustrated. But here's what people need to understand. DeBrincat, he has nothing to lose here. Worst case scenario for the player, he can play this season out at a lower rate than, well, let's say the Sens take an arb here with what you're doing, and it gets to that point. He's still going to make over $7 million en route to next year being able to pick his destination. And he knows the team loves him. He knows the coach likes him. And he knows he's going to bet on himself. He's a confident guy. So I know what the player and the agent are thinking here. And listen, the one thing I will say, agents have to do this. They have to support their client when things get to this point and stand up for them. But there's a little bit of a sly grin there because agents do help in the process when this happens. Agents do go out and talk to general managers and say, well, what could work for my client? And you can help the situation. But right now, with the salary cap the way it is, everyone knows it's going up next summer. So there's going to be a lot more money available for DeBrincat next year, and a lot more destinations. And he probably won't be coming off a year where he's what did he get, 27, 28 goals? He's going to bet on himself and say, hey, I score over 30. And everyone, he doesn't even have to score 40. If he scores over 30, which he probably should have got last year too. Like, let's be honest. He missed a lot of golden opportunities last year. He probably should have been low 30s. If you're a 30 and above goal scorer in this league, you're going to get paid a lot of money. So I know why they're doing it. I do disagree a little bit with what Jeff, but I get it. I know why he's doing it. Agents do help in the process. They don't make trades, 100%. They don't make trades, but they can assist. But I just don't think there's teams know that Ottawa wants to trade him. So right now in the summer, why would they be throwing the kitchen sink at him?
Okay, hold on a second. So you said, I know what Jeff Jackson's doing. What is he doing? It doesn't seem like you agree.
No, I agree with him. I would be doing the same thing. I would be doing the exact same thing if I was DeBrincat's agent, because obviously there's not why would he sign for a discount right now?
Exactly.
Why would he sign for a discount? It doesn't make any sense.
You just said he could come back, take a lower rate and play. He's not coming back taking a low rate to play in a higher tax placed area and be happy about it.
Why wouldn't he come back? It's 1 year of playing for a lower rate, and then he gets to go right to free agency and pick his destination.
Because, Yorkie, you don't want a player in your room that doesn't want to be there. And don't tell me he wants to be here.
So I'll tell you one thing. He's not the type of player that's going to be a distraction. He's not going to be a disruptor. The players like him. He likes the player. Well, there's a lot worse things in the world you can do than go play hockey for $7 million.
I understand. Yorkie, that's not the point.
But for not even a full year, there's a game. There's going to be a game of chicken going on right now, and it's going to be, hey, I don't make the trades. We'll just come back. We know, like my client will happy. Like, we've never requested a trade.
So my point is, it doesn't matter if he comes back and he isn't happy about it. What the problem is, it becomes a constant distraction. So every time they go on the road and they go into another city, they are going to get asked, are you still hoping to get moved? Do you want to get, they're going to ask Brady Tkachuk and so on. And someone's just going to be tired of answering these questions. That's what's going to happen. It is going to become a distraction around the group. That's number one. Number two, listen, we can go back through all of this, but if the agent has to come out now and start defending, it's because he's tired of all the rhetoric that's been said and written, which isn't fair because it's only one-sided. This should all be quiet until he gets moved. So all the Sens have done with all of the stuff written is lowered his value. And they've turned the fan base against him. That's disappointing for me.
Let's say he does. All he has to do is come back. You'd be surprised. You know this.
Alex DeBrincat came back.
It was. I'm not even gonna. This is a totally different situation. Different situation. The player's in his full right to accept an arbitration. Say, yeah, sure, I'll come back for a year. You guys traded for me. I didn't really want to leave. Let's go back to the trade. The player was shocked when he got traded. Mm-hmm. He loved it there. He probably, and all of a sudden you're traded. You're in a new city. You're in Ottawa, and you play, and you don't get your usual 30 plus goals. You have a little bit of a down year. And by all accounts, the rumors are like he would like to play in an American city. But the player's not doing anything wrong right now. The agent's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. But I just don't think the dollar amount's there right now for what they want, because they've probably been talking to some teams and they're saying, well, why are we going to go sign a long-term deal for this amount of money when we can get more in less than a year? Like, when you really look at it, well, just under a year. You got to wait till July 1 next year. So, and you're in a spot where you're running the power play. You're the guy that's on the half wall. You're going to be on a very good team. You love the guys. You like the coach. So this could turn into a situation where he ends up playing and gets traded at the deadline, or who knows what happens. Maybe Ottawa's doing so well at the deadline. They just can't go down that road. You can't risk walking him to free agency. And And that's the issue here. That's the issue. And don't forget too, we're coming off a playoff where big man hockey's back, and a team like the Vegas Golden Knights just won the Stanley Cup with 4 lines deep of not really a prototypical sniper on your team. And we all know it's a copycat league. So that might have something to do with why teams aren't jumping the gun to throw a huge long-term deal at a smaller player, like a goal scorer, but and give something up for him. Like Ottawa's ask is a lot because they gave up a lot for him. So the ask is big right now, and we'll see what the ask is later on in the summer. Because I do agree, Wally, it is going to be a distraction, but it's not as big as distraction as people think. It really isn't. After the media clear out of the room, everyone's gone. The players aren't in the room thinking, "Oh shit, I'm gonna play this game tonight." I can't believe that guy asked me about DeBrincat's contract. How the fuck am I going to concentrate now? All I'm thinking about is DeBrincat's contract. Jesus Christ!
It's not that. It's when he hits a goal scoring drought, when the team starts struggling, any of that stuff, and you just need one more thing to add to the pile. It starts to wear you down and aggravate, and it causes friction.
I disagree. We played a whole season answering Yash questions, and we had a great season.
The Yash thing is different.
If this team gets off to a bad start, there's going to be more people getting blamed than Alex DeBrincat. Don't worry. Like there's a lot more pressure right now. Like if the team gets off to a bad start, like there'll be a lot of pressure on the coaching staff. That's first and foremost. There's pressure on guys all the time. And this will be for sure. There'll be questions, will be going on, but hopefully this gets solved. But I'm telling it's the agent and the player, man. I'm of the opinion of, well, if we don't see what we want as far as a dollar amount in the term, we're happy just to play this 1 year out in Ottawa. And then Ottawa will have to figure something out. And hopefully the only good thing, Wally, I said this last show, there's a lot of other teams out there that have they're under pressure too. They got to make the playoffs. They got to get some goal scoring. They got to figure things out. They don't have the luxury that Ottawa has right now, having so many guys that can score goals, and they're in a totally different situation. So if you're Pierre Dorion, you're hoping another one of those teams is willing to step up to the plate here. And it still is kind of early in the summer. There still is some racetrack to get something done. There's lots of time, but there's still going to be posturing and things going on in the media. It's all part of it. This is what makes it fun to follow.
It makes it fun to follow, but it doesn't make it fun when you're trying to get your team set for the regular season, and this is holding everything up. It's brought everything to a grind.
Yeah, it's the thing that I agree.
Like at this point last year, we're all like July 13th, they signed Claude Giroux. This city is on fire. It's everything is coming together. There's so much excitement right now. It's can we just we're just trying to get something. There's no momentum right now. And I want this to get over with so we can now start and get excited about what's ahead.
Yeah, I agree. But there's always something in the summer, isn't there? Like usually in the summer of the business of an NHL team, there's usually one hurdle a team has to do or fix, and this just happens to be a pretty big one for Ottawa right now.
So they have I don't want to bring up the Leafs, but it's at the top of my head with the William Nylander stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but that hasn't stopped them from signing everybody they can find. I think they're $8 million over the cap right now. They're trying to make moves.
The Leafs
they're trying to continue to build their roster. They need to figure this out with DeBrincat now and get on with it. It's almost like it's at this point, I feel like it's cut your losses.
By the way, like I know people listen to our pod don't want to really hear about the Leafs, but I don't think they're as good a team as they were last year after their moves. I really don't. Like they signed a lot of big names. They signed a lot of offense, but defensively, I do not like that hockey team. I don't like them defensively. And that's to compare it to Ottawa's situation. It's a totally different situation. Noel Acciari gone. Ryan O'Reilly, one of the best face-off guys in the league, responsible defensively. You lose him. Like that's a pretty big loss. You lose him. You brought him in, so you had to do something. But all the guys, like they brought in some great offensive players. Klingberg, Domi had a nice playoff. Bertuzzi had that great run in Boston. But defensively, man, yeah, they're going to score a ton of goals. But I'll say this: they're going to be entertaining to watch, offensively and defensively, because it's going to be a track meet when you play Toronto. Just don't turn the puck over, and they'll do it for you.
Well, they also did sign former Ottawa Senators Maxime Lajoie and Dylan Gambrell.
I saw they got Gambrell. Oh, there's been a Max Lajoie sighting. Where was he? In the minors?
Carolina and somewhere. Yeah. I think it was Carolina. I really like him.
Remember when Lajoie just burst out of the gate under Guy Boucher? He had all those points early in the season.
He had 2 points in the first period of his first game.
Remember that? Yeah.
Boucher interviewed his dad in the stands. Yeah.
Everybody loved Boucher, and it was like, loved Lajoie, especially Boucher, and it was like, it's because he's French. It's because he's French. But he wasn't French.
No.
That's the thing. I know everyone's like, I just likes him because he's French. He's not French.
No, I thought he played really well. I was very surprised that
he was good.
Yep.
It just goes to show you, though, in the National Hockey League, when you have a coach that believes in you, plays you, trusts you, people don't understand how good players are in the National Hockey League. A lot of it comes down to opportunity and having somebody in your corner. And then it's like, wow, I didn't know this guy could play. Well, yeah, he's actually playing. That's how it works.
Yes. The one thing that does, but everybody does it. Oh, he sucks. If you watch these guys play in the AHL or in some little league, you'll see how good they are. They're extremely talented individuals.
Well, the NHL is made up of the best players from the teams they came from, or the hardest workers. So that's what people need to understand. It's just once you get to the NHL, there's already guys in those roles, so you got to figure out,
right,
how am I going to stay here? So I better make sure that I'm a defensive defenseman or a grinding winger or I'm a penalty kill guy. You got to reinvent yourself. Yep. Like in my last year junior, Wally, I scored 93 points as a defenseman, led the OHL in scoring. Okay, I go to Detroit's training camp. There's Paul Coffey. There's Nick Lidstrom. There's Vladimir Konstantinov. Brad. I guess I'm not an offensive defenseman anymore. I better freaking figure it out and learn how to play some B. Otherwise, I'll be down in the East Coast League.
Time to start cross-checking guys in front of the net.
Right? You're the type of guy. Block some shots, eat a few pucks. You got to figure it out because there's a lot better guys than you are out there.
Yes.
But anyway, we should finish up DeBrincat here.
Yeah.
It's a frustrating situation for sure for the fan base because I get it. People want to see this wrapped up. People want to see the team. Everybody, and players do too. Everybody wants to get to camp, get going, get your T-shirt with your slogan for the year, what type of team you're going to be, whatever that's going to be, do some team building, and then get off to a great start. So it wouldn't be ideal for DeBrincat to sign a one-year deal. So hopefully a trade gets done and Ottawa can fill out that top 6, top 9 roster and get a couple players in return. But man, I see this dragging out. It's just the players camp is going to wait for they're not going to go to a team unless they love the situation that DeBrincat's going to go into. Otherwise, he's a year away from free agency.
Here, I'm going to go back to it, Yorkie. You don't want the distraction. I can remember Erik Karlsson, Danny Heatley, both coming in on the first day of training camp, and there was the energy around that just sucked the life out of the building because you knew something had to get done. Yeah. Erik Karlsson's down the hall waiting in an office to be traded. Danny Heatley's not showing up. Like it was, you don't want that energy, and they got to move him. They've got to move him now and get on with the season. Stop trying. And I'm frustrated that we've tried to turn the fan base against Alex DeBrincat, saying he doesn't want to be here and whatever. Listen, lots of players make that decision. I don't remember very many people being upset with Matthew Tkachuk saying, you know what, I'm not signing another year. And he got moved. And now he's a Hart Trophy finalist. And people don't pay any attention to him saying anything. Let's move on from Alex DeBrincat and let him be happy playing somewhere else.
I think if DeBrincat was coming off a 40-goal season, and it would be a little easier right now because Ottawa could get what they wanted. The player could get what he wanted. So he's He's good. The guy wants to bet on himself. It's like, why do I want to sign after coming off 27 or was it 27, 28? I keep forgetting. 27. When I'm better than that. Like, why do I want to sign long-term when I know I'm a better player than that? And if these guys don't believe in me, these other teams, I'll show them this year. I'll show them what I can do. They'll see the real Alex. Yeah, I know it's not ideal that this is a place I want to be, but hey, I like the guys. I like the coach. I don't mind coming back for a year. I'm just telling you what goes through a player's mind.
Fair enough. But so here's all I'm going to go back to is if you really want to trade him and get the highest value, shut up. Stop talking and saying he won't sign for this. He won't do this. He doesn't want to be here. None of that's helpful. Don't talk about it and just get the deal done. Do you ever hear Steve Yzerman say anything about anybody? No. Lou Lamoriello always had a rule. If this trade gets leaked out to anybody anywhere, it doesn't happen. Stop talking.
Yeah. Yzerman's a quiet guy.
He's learned though, right? You don't hear it from the really good general managers across the league. You don't hear it. Stop talking.
We'll see. Like I said, there's still time here. There's still time. And listen, the Matthew Tkachuk situation, and now it's even more so if you look at what teams around the league are coveting. Yes, goal scoring is a premium. Yes, you need guys that can score, but it's like the league is switched because everybody was thinking, oh, the NHL is such a skill league. It's all about speed and skill, and we need guys like this. And now general managers said, hold on a second here. You hear this expression all the time. The ice shrinks in the playoffs. We need guys in the playoffs that can play when the ice shrinks. So perhaps there's a little bit of doubt with some general manager. Okay, are we going to give DeBrincat $9 million, $8 million over 8 years? Are we going to commit this, or are we going to do this something else? Like there might be a little bit of uncertainty. Not saying the player is not a great goal scorer, but if you're looking what guys, it's a copycat league, right? And guys like the Matthew Tkachuk of the world, those seems to be the guys that the teams are really coveting now.
5-time 20 goal scorer, 2-time 40 goal scorer. He should have probably had 40 another time. I trade for him if you can find a spot for him in your roster. I think he's valuable enough, but at $9 million, he has to be a first line winger. Does he not?
100%. When you're spending that kind of money, Wally, you're not giving your second line winger $9 million. You're not. He would have been great for Nashville. Yeah, no, but Barry Trotz, if you look at what Barry Trotz is trying to do there right now, and hey, from everything I heard about DeBrincat, heard he's great in the room, good room guy, great teammate, not a problem. Teammates like him, but Trotz is looking to build a team that's hard to play against of guys that are it's different. So he's probably not one of those guys right now that wants to pay a player like that $9 million, so or $8 million or whatever the number is. It's tough. He's coming off 27. He's coming off 27 goals. He's scored 40 before. So in his mind, he's looking at in the Mendez article, he mentioned Timo Meier, who's coming off 40. But the other thing is Timo Meier, the big body. He's a big body, and like it or not, that's the flavor of the day right now in the NHL. Guys that can play tight in space, guys that can battle in the playoffs. If you're going to commit long-term to somebody and make a guy one of your highest paid players, you want a guy that you think is going to be a guy that's a difference maker in the playoffs. Physically, defensively, 200-foot player.
Yep. 6'1", 220 for Timo Meier, 26 compared to Alex, who's 25 years old.
People will say, like, well, look at Jonathan Marchessault. Jonathan Marchessault was a smaller guy. He had success. Jonathan Marchessault's bigger than DeBrincat, and he doesn't make $8 million. I think he makes around $5 million. So, and he's not their first line winger. Like he's and they don't really have a first line. It's so unique how Vegas is built. It's like he can throw any line out on the ice at any time, 1 through 4, and that's why Vegas was so tough to beat. That's why they eventually won the Stanley Cup.
Yep, it's because they had smash mouth hockey on their blue line.
Yeah, no, agreed. Great. Hey, smash mouth players that can move the puck.
Yeah.
Like, the best of both worlds. And
I just like it when you keep arguing with me.
They weren't overly physical back there, Wally. Like,
It's not about being. It's just no.
It's about not letting guys to the front of the net. And when you're
winning one-on-one battles.
It's basically, if you're a big defenseman that can skate and move, and a forward's trying to get to the front of the net, if you're a bigger body, you're going to have an easier time blocking him out from getting to the front of the net. It's as simple as that. And come playoff time, you can go back for pucks while you're being forechecked and hold a guy off. People had no idea who Nick Hague was on Vegas Golden Knights blue line. People know who he is right now. He's 6'6", and you can't hit him. You can't hit him.
We need Jared Cowan back.
Oh, I don't. You need a guy that could skate.
I'm just kidding.
Nick,
people just pulled off the side of the road when I said that.
Okay, here's the interesting thing with Nick Hague, defensive defenseman for Vegas. People don't watch Vegas. They have no idea who Nick Hague is. Like, oh, this guy's a tough defenseman. He's getting into it after the whistle. He's a shit disturber. He scored 35 goals. 35 goals in the OHL as a defenseman. I watched him play. He was an offensive defenseman. But when he came to Vegas, he's like, oh, I'm not on the power play. That's Petrangelo's job. That's Shea Theodore's job. Well, I'm a defensive defenseman now, and I'm 6'6", so I'll be good at it because I want to stay here and I want to get paid. And I want to win.
6'6", 235.
And he scored 35 goals as a defenseman.
78 points, 67 games.
Yeah.
And with Chicago Wolves, in his second year in the A, first real pro season, he had 32 points, 13 goals. He's got an offensive upside, but
of course
you're right.
He does. I watched
That's just not his game.
But that's the thing. You draft guys to come in. They have skills, they can skate, they can move, and then because he's so big, now he's killing penalties, and he'll eventually get some power play time. It's just you look at how that blue line's made up. But just those are the guys you need in the playoffs. That's why big bodies matter on your blue line.
It is a good thing I had my AG1 this morning, Yorkie. I'm tired of arguing with you. It's exhausting.
Well, what are we arguing about? What are we arguing about right now?
Just healthy debate. Just healthy debate.
I'm just telling you. Right now, the player's like, yeah, sure. Hey, would you play hockey for $7 million for 1 year with a good bunch of group? Like come in the room every day, if Brady Chuck's in there.
No.
Time.
If my mind is made up that I'm not signing, I want out now. My mind, nothing, my heart, my head, nothing is in Ottawa. I want to go now because family reasons. Everything else needs to smooth over.
Family reasons used to be the best trump card for everything. I used to have a saying,
right?
If you want to get out of something, just say family reasons.
Yes,
you're good. You're gold.
I saw it the other day. They fired a coach.
Do you think you can come over tonight, Wally, and watch my dog? He's sick. Sorry, I can't. Family reasons. Family reasons. Okay. I'm not. You don't even want to ask. You don't even want to ask if somebody says family reasons. Well, you're afraid to find out what the answer. You're afraid to find out what the answer is. Family reasons could mean anything.
Could be like, oh, that's sorry to hear that. I hope everything's okay. Talk to you later. Anyway,
so I don't know. Like, what do you put up? What if you're putting the number on this getting done before training camp? It's still so murky right now. I'm 50-50 right now. If it gets done before camp, flip a coin. I hope it does. I hope it does for the sake of what's going on with the Senators, because there's so much to be excited for. There's so much to look forward to with the goaltending situation and new ownership and the way Stützle played last year, Tkachuk, Giroux, the defense core. And I agree. You don't want this lingering. You don't want this spilling over into training camp. So hopefully it does get resolved. It's just the one thing I will disagree is the agent does have to help out. He does. He doesn't make the trade, but he does have to help out. He's got to, behind closed doors, the agent makes calls and sees who's interested.
Yep.
And
yep.
It's got to be a combined effort.
I totally agree. Now, I guess, is there a shock that not more teams are lining up to make this deal? I understand cap issues, obviously. But you have a superstar potential talent just sitting there.
Well, the ask is high, right? What was this?
But so you've got to come down at some point. Look at Jakob Chychrun. The ask was ridiculous at one point. It felt like they wanted like 3 first-round picks. You've got to figure out a way to do what's best in the long term for your organization and for the player.
Yeah, but you just fresh off a draft where they gave up the 7th overall pick in a really strong draft, and
we were told the draft wasn't very strong.
No, come on. It is one of the best drafts in a long time. So you're not going to go make a deal right now where you're not getting some pretty good value back in return. You're just not. So am I surprised the DeBrincats? No, I'm not surprised, because people now are looking at the playoffs that just happened and are saying, okay, do we want to give this player, make him one of our highest paid players? And there's still some other moving parts to go around in the league. Like Toronto's trying to figure out what they're doing with Willie Nylander.
Yep.
Philadelphia is still trying to figure out what they're going to do. I still think Washington could be in the mix. They missed the playoffs last year. They got to do some things. We heard Carolina. So don't forget too, like, when did the Matthew Tkachuk situation finally get sorted out? That was later in the summer, wasn't it?
I don't feel it took very long from when it became public to when it happened.
It didn't happen around the draft. I believe it happened closer to the end of the summer. Don't quote me on that, but I think it lingered for a while.
Well, it came right after the Johnny Gaudreau stuff, right?
Yeah.
July 22nd.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. Hopefully we're not talking about this in another 2 months from now.
God, please. Trying to figure out when Gaudreau was actually dealt. See how much further it was, but
that's going to be an interesting situation in Columbus.
Oh my!
Babs has his work cut out for him. Like, he's got to go in there. I watched Columbus play last year, and they were horrendous. Like, they were a apple turnover machine, no structure. Terrible. Like, and he's got to go in there and basically he's got to start from scratch there and figure it out in a hurry, because they were atrocious last year. So, man, that's going to be interesting to watch. Like, some players are going to be shipped out of town there. When Babs comes in, he likes to do drastic things right away. The reason I know this, because I was in Anaheim when he got his first job, and when he came in there, I think I told you this story right away. 3 of the veterans they didn't like were told to practice by themselves, not with the team. You guys go on the ice by yourselves. You're not allowed at training camp.
You were one of them.
Yes, I was. Denny Lambert, who had like 30 fights the year before. So, no, I'm keeping an eye on that situation, because everyone's saying, well, he's going to come in, he's going to be softer, he's going to be like coddling guys. Oh, it's okay, we're going to be a better. No, he's not going to go off on guys, but there's going to be drastic measures are going to be taken there.
If you lose 7 games in a row, I would think perhaps the old Babs comes back.
The old Babs, where he takes a player in and he says, so tell me which players that you don't think are hard workers or guys that you wouldn't have on the team. And he writes down the players. And then you have a meeting and you say, oh, by the way, Mitch Marner says that you guys suck.
Yeah, there's a long list. You know what? I will say Mike Babcock was always extremely good to me when I covered him at the Olympics. Obviously covered him during Cup finals. Even when I just saw him in Detroit, he was very good to me. I have no issues. However, I don't know of one player that's ever said a good word about him.
Yeah. Not me neither.
Like, and Aaron Ward is very vocal, obviously.
Wardo is.
Mike Commodore was another guy. There's lots of players, and of course, Holmstrom. Was it Holmstrom in Detroit that he just tore apart all the time? I don't like him, but I understand him. Like, here's the thing: I had a coach in Major Junior that makes Mike Babcock look like a cupcake. I had Bill LaForge,
And I'm a firm believer that without Bill LaForge, I wouldn't have made it to the NHL, because after going through what I did in junior with him, I could take anything. It's like, really? You think you're tough? Like, come on, this is nothing. Give it to me. Give it to me. Come on, Babs. That's nothing. That's all you got. So it depends. And certain players can't handle it. It's especially now.
It doesn't have to be that way.
I know it doesn't, but old school coaches, that's the way it used to be. Nowadays, for sure, but it can't be that way now because the players have too much power. Like the players are just...
I've seen it, not in the NHL level, but I've seen it at junior levels. Because stuff that's being said is still from the 1980s.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it used to be, though. But the thing with junior players is they're not making money. They want to get to the next level. The coach has so much power where it doesn't work at the pro level anymore because the players are just going to... It's the old thing with the job of a head coach. I've said this before, is you got three groups on your team. You got 1/3 of your team that really likes you. These are the guys that play power play. They're happy. They're producing. They like you. Then you have 1/3 of your team. The guys are getting scratched, guys on the fourth line that hate you. They hate you. And you're usually getting called out and yelled at in practice. 1/3 hates you. 1/3 loves you. Then there's another group, the 1/3, they're kind of like go with the flow. They're like Switzerland. So the job of a coach is to make sure that Switzerland doesn't go to the bad side. Because when that happens, when that 1/3 goes with the group of guys that are always... You know those guys. You come into the room, Wally. You're covering the team, and one of the players says, fucking coach, he's fucking brutal. I can't believe this guy's playing. Why is he playing?" And it's negative, and you know that guy. There's always that guy on the team, and then that guy gets more guys to come to his camp. Then all of a sudden, you got 3/4 of the team that hates you. Then you start losing, you're fired. So that's the coach has to be able to make sure Switzerland does not go to the bad side.
Sometimes there are surprise trades to the outside world that aren't surprise trades whatsoever inside. Right?
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm shocked they moved him in January. Don't be. Don't be at all. We got some work to do here. This show always proudly presented by our good friends at Betano. Visit betano.ca or download the app. The award-winning app is state-of-the-art, the most user-friendly and advanced betting app for your mobile or tablet. Have the amazing world of sports with you at Betano. Hundreds of live betting options and events. Try same-game parlays, bet builder, live in-game betting, and the most competitive odds in the market. Betano, our good friends. The game starts now.
And Renfrew Pro, the original hockey tape. Always good, easy to tear with your hands. It is moisture resistance, helps with puck control, and it is the ones the pros use. You can see it in every single NHL locker room you go in, available at all major retailers. On the web, you can look them up at renfrewpro.com. It is the one, as we know, with the green core. Free Tape Friday. Give them a follow at Renfrew Pro on Instagram. Don't forget to tag your teammates for unlimited entries and share your story for 10 bonus entries.
I will say, I don't know if they do it, but if you ever get a chance to take a tour of the factory in Renfrew, it's really something to watch them actually just make tape. All right. So for 35 years, BEI, Bonsher Excavating Inc., has built a reputation on providing great service and unmatched quality of work. And now they're unveiling BEI homes. Escape the city and the big city price tags and relocate to the Ren development in just an hour west of Canada. You can enjoy a vibrant small town atmosphere with the modern conveniences, walking distance to the beachfront on Muskrat Lake, detached homes with 70-foot frontage and water and sewer. There's also semi-detached homes, plenty of affordable options, starting as low as $500,000. Trust a quality builder. Visit bonishyourhomes.com. And also go to AG1 and use athleticgreens.com/coming-in-hot for a free coupon. All right. Mm-hmm. And Renfrew Pro, by the way, 15% off your order if you're ordering online. Go to renfrewpro.com.
Nice. Never have enough tape.
My son, were you a every time on the ice stick taper guy?
Yes. Yes, not for practice, but after every period, retape the stick. Sometimes during a game, because I was a big guy on going stick on pucks. You jab at the puck, stick. I love a freshly taped stick. Some guys don't care though. Like McDavid. How about your son and McDavid? You see McDavid's stick during the game? It's
pieces
all like
hanging off it.
Oh yeah, it's like the best player in the world, and hey, if he can do it,
yeah,
that's what you should say to your son. Hey, McDavid, look at him, he's fine.
Yeah.
Quit wasting all my money.
My
God damn it.
OCD wouldn't let me have that piece of tape just flapping there, and it just would bug the hell out of me.
I know.
But if you're using black,
Yeah.
you're using black tape, if I'm not mistaken, or you?
I was black tape, but then I went to white tape on the blade because I'm not fooling any goaltender. I'm not disguising the puck from the point. I want to be able to see the puck as clearly as possible. So I like the contrast, white stick tape to black puck. I need it. I need it. I'm not good enough not to do that.
Well, I just always found the black tape tore easier or disintegrated easier or whatever it is. It's just not as strong or as heavy as white.
I'll tell you a funny story. Like my eyes, when I played over in Switzerland, I had to make a huge adjustment because when you're looking down at the puck, there's so many sponsors on the ice.
Yes.
So like the whole ice is covered with sponsorships. So you're carrying the puck. Where'd it go? Oh, shit, it's a black sponsor. I can't say. Okay, there we go. White ice again. It's like and don't get me started about the helmets and uniforms over there. Hey, the NHL's already started. We got the sponsors on the helmet, the whole thing. I'm all for it, man. Any way you can make some revenue, get those companies on there.
I don't have a problem with all the ads. In fact, and probably because it's different, I like it because you don't see it as much here. But if you look at NASCAR track suits or fire suits, they're covered. No one's like, oh my God, they get too many advertisers. Like we put advertising everywhere. I don't see if you put 5 advertisers on the jersey, I don't care. It just doesn't have any impact. You all look the same. So it's basically you all have the same look. You're the same team. You just got a couple of ads. Who cares?
They were giving us on my Swiss team. You had a sponsorship. It was like a sticker you put on the bottom part of your stick, the top part of your stick. We had it side of the helmet, front of the helmet.
Shirt, the fronts,
middle, low, corner, shoulders, everywhere. We had them on. They even had the sponsorships on our socks. So the front of the socks, I think we had, I don't know, I forget the name of the company, probably Skoda or something like that. It was just plastered everywhere.
I went to the World Championships in 2009, and I really wanted, from a beer league, I wanted a European jersey full of the ads.
Yeah.
And so I was SC Burn. I was able to come up with. So I've got one of those.
SC Burn
collar. Yeah.
SC Burn is one of the best hockey venues in the world. Holds 17,000 fans, and they've got up in the top level, they've got this giant drum, and there's this guy with no shirt on, and he's playing these drums during the game, and they're really loud. That the mic's on them, and the whole crowd is standing and chanting and singing, guzzling beer. Great atmosphere in there.
But one of the weird things about that
and smoking, Wally. Here's the other thing.
Oh my God! Don't even.
You're not allowed to smoke, but everybody smokes in there. So we used to have a joke in Lugano after our games. I'd take my sweater off and I'd say I'd smell it, and I'm like, "Yep, smells like an ashtray again." And we're sitting there breathing in these fumes all game.
We did one of the Worlds in Zurich at the Lions building, which, by the way, Yorkie, you know, it's like all made of wood. And the intermissions, the guys, everybody smokes in the bathrooms. So you come out from the intermission and there's like a blue haze halfway, just hovering over the ice. Oh. It's horrendous. Do
you want to know?
How do you not put an end to this?
A little bit off topic. You want to know what's horrendous? I just got back from New York. My God. Is pot legalized there right now? It's not. But when you walk downtown New York, the entire city smells like pot and garbage. It's a nice mixture between pot and garbage. My God. And when it's hot, like everywhere I'm walking, I'm like, oh my God, it just smells like pot here. It's crazy.
Okay. I'm going to try to reel this back in. DJ Smith, our last topic of the day.
All right.
So we meant to get this for a couple of days now. So DJ Smith is coming back.
Yes.
Which isn't a surprise, Yorkie. When you get to July, there's a new ownership group coming in. and there hadn't been any changes leading up, you know that they're not making a coaching change who's got 1 year left on his deal, right? You let everybody kind of settle and let this play out. So the fact he's back, not a big surprise. Also, let's give him some credit. He turned the team around to their best season they've had under him in 4 years. A .524 winning percentage, 39 wins, which is the most in, I think 6 seasons or something. So I'm going to say you're not surprised to see DJ back behind the bench.
Well, we talked about this. I said this during the season. I said I wouldn't fire him. And here's the thing. The head coach, this is what people need to understand, because everybody always criticized DJ Smith. Well, his systems and his tactics, and the Sens aren't great defensively. They dump the puck in too much. I'll tell you, the main job of the coach in the NHL is to motivate and inspire and get the most as far as effort out of your players. I'll ask you all, do you think DJ Smith gets that out of his players?
I do.
So you look at a staff. Each NHL team now has about 4 assistant coaches. So the main job of your assistant coaches, you have one coach does a power play. That's Davis Payne, who's done a real nice job with the Senators as far as their power play goes. Jack Capuano runs the D and responsible for penalty kill. And they also have Bob Jones. They have a video coach. And by the way, just a little shout out to Bob Jones. I know they're doing an event for Bob in Windsor. Bob Bugner, DJ. It's going to be awesome. So
Alex DeBrincat.
Yeah, there you go. The bad guy, Alex DeBrincat's going to show up. So he's, just goes to show you what he thinks. So anyhow, little shout out for Jonesy, who's I used to play against Jonesy, and we all know what he's going through right now. So back to DJ.
Hold on one sec. I just want to throw out the date
yes.
when this is happening. It's on August the 12th. It's all in for ALS Jonesy's game. It is at the WFCU Center in Windsor. So you can get tickets. So anyway, that's August the 12th.
Yeah, it's going to be an all-star game, and they've got Brady Kachuk's playing, DeBrincat's playing. Yeah. They've got a lot of guys, a lot of pros have come out of the Windsor Spitfires program. That's
Taylor
actually,
Hall.
Taylor Hall. And
Gabe Velarde, who just recently got traded. Cam Fowler, Zach Kassian, Mikhail Sergachev.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you what, Bob Jones is one of the best guys in hockey. I know Jonesy because I played junior against him. He was the captain of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Great guy, great teammate. Spent a little time with him in Adirondack. He's one of those guys, Wally, that lights up a dressing room. As a player, he was just such a good room guy. No surprise he ended up being a coach, and just horrible thing he's going through right now. And our heart's with him right now. But full respect for the guys who are doing this. So
yes,
a lot of people don't know this about DJ. Is DJ started off with the Windsor Spitfires as basically their second or third assistant coach. I remember when I was playing in Detroit, I would stay in Windsor in the summer, and DJ would be there all summer training the guys that were in town in the gym. He'd go to the gym every day with them and work the guys out. So he started, he worked his way up to assistant coach and then went to Oshawa. We all know he won a Memorial Cup there with the Generals and assistant coach, and has worked his way up to here. So I'm not surprised he's back, because I'll guarantee you guys like Brady Kachuk went in there and said, I want DJ to stay. I would think that conversation. I don't know for sure, but he's got the respect of the room. He's going to get another opportunity to come back. If he gets off to a bad start, it's not going to be good, but I wouldn't mind seeing what he can do with a team now that's a little older, a little more mature. You got a better defense core. Tim Stützle now has an outstanding season behind him. Everyone's older, everyone's wiser. You got some goaltending. So let's see. And like I said, the main job of the head coach is to inspire and get the most out of your players and get them to work. The one thing about the Senators, they don't get outworked. You could say maybe they get out schemed sometimes. Maybe they don't play the most responsible game at times, but they don't get outworked. And that's, to me, that's what you want your coach. If I was going to do any kind of change, I would bring in another assistant coach to maybe change that look up a little bit, bring in some new ideas, bring in some support. That's what I would do if it was me. But I'm not surprised he's back. Give him a chance. Let him come back, and let's see what he can do.
Okay, so Yorkie, I had a question for you before I'm going to use a quote from DJ in a sec, but a question for you is, so we all on the outside see this team struggle defensively. We've had ex-players say, I don't understand what their defensive system is or how they do it. Nobody seems to understand defensively. Goaltending hasn't been great. I'll give you that. Defense has been suspect with their personnel. I give you that. But if there's so many people questioning this defensive system, why are we not changing it? What are we missing that they're sitting there as a coaching staff going, don't worry, it's going to be fine?
Well, when I think I watched about 78 of the games last year, pretty well all of the games. When I watch the Ottawa Senators, when things go wrong, to me, it's not necessarily systems. It's blown assignments. And blowing your assignment, like if a forward comes out to the point and doesn't take the right route and lets the defenseman get to the middle of the ice and make a play in that, that's not a system. That's just a player not doing the right thing. So how do you change that? You got to make players more accountable. And you heard this the other day, you have to focus in on little things, habits, little things like stick positioning on the forecheck and the D zone, not losing your assignment. Like we say it so much. What's your system? There's only so many systems you can play in the league. There's only so many forechecks. There's a 1-2-2. There's a 2-1-2. You can stay back in a 1-3-3. Defensively, you can play a zone. You can shrink the zone. You can play man on man. I'm personally not a fan of man on man because man on man can blow up for you in a hurry. To me, it's the Senators have been inconsistent, and at key moments in games, they turn pucks over and they lose assignments in their own zone. They backcheck hard. They forecheck hard, but it's key moments. They make big mistakes. And for them to get to the next level, they have to stop making those key mistakes. And some of those are due to inexperience. Like, let's be honest here. You look at that team last year, and we talked about this to death. The center ice position last year for the Ottawa Senators. Look how inexperienced that group was. Josh Norris was your most experienced centerman, and he got hurt. Tim Stützle, as great of a season he had, he didn't get off to a great start defensively. I remember talking about him on the show. He was blowing assignments all the time, losing coverage. And what do you expect? Like, it's a young guy coming into the league, and hey, guess what? You're our number one centerman right now. So what do you think's going to happen? You're going to make mistakes. And if anything, they started the season. I thought they started the season with a roster that wasn't ready to be a playoff team. They didn't address the blue line, and then they had the injury with Norris, and then all of a sudden you get off to a bad start. Can you blame coaching for that? Yeah, for sure, some of it. But I look at the bad start more to the fact that they were just so green down the middle, and those matchups you're having early on in the season. And I credit Stützle for how he turned things around, and that's the sign of a kid that's going to be a star. Like, people forget that. He had to learn on the job, and he really didn't start taking that next step till later on in the season. Remember, he wasn't killing penalties at the beginning of the season. He wasn't out there going against the other team's top center. And then all of a sudden, he learned on the fly, he learned on the job, and then he ended up becoming the player he had. And we'll see this year. I'm excited to see him come back again next year. So anyways, my rambling way about it is I blame a lot of the reason for the poor start last year was that middle of the ice for Ottawa was so inexperienced, so green. Your chances of winning with that group of centermen to start the season, it wasn't good. And you look at the blue line, it wasn't a good enough blue line right away.
You talk about accountability and all that stuff, and DJ Smith speaking with Ian Mendes, who's done phenomenal work this summer. We're using another quote from his article. He spoke to DJ at the draft and said, the biggest thing is details. It has to be tightened up. The accountability towards small details becomes tighter and tighter as you want to get better. As the players get better, the mistakes have to be less and less. They know better, and the accountability has to be higher. And it's not just me. They are going to hold themselves to a higher standard. They know where they want to go. Just letting guys play throughout, it is not something you have with a team that expects to win. If you're not going, someone else has to take your spot. So going into this season, he's saying all the right words, which I don't believe he has said so much in the past. I think this is an understanding that he needs to be coaching different this year.
So players know when other players are making mistakes. Everybody knows it. Everybody sees it. If a guy turns the puck over, doesn't get it deep at the right time, this is especially going to hang true for the blue line situation with Ottawa. How many times, and this has been talked about it to death, did Thomas Chabot have to play 25, 26, 27 minutes a night? That's no longer the case anymore. Jake Sanderson coming into this season is coming off, and it's maybe the best rookie season ever for an Ottawa blue line. Yeah, it was. He was. Wait until he comes this year. How much better he's going to be. Healthy Jakob Chychrun. Zub's back. Brannstrom's got a year under his belt. Docker's got a year under his belt. Who knows what's going to happen with Hammond or what else they do. But the blue line is substantially better, much better than the start. So if a defenseman's back or turning the puck is over, no matter who he is, you can cut his ice time back. You couldn't do that before. Like if I'll just take Chabot, for example. If Chabot was struggling last year early in the season, remember what we'd say? What are the other options? Well, a Chabot that's playing like this is better than the alternative. So it brings in internal competition pressure amongst the players. And what that does, it makes you better. It makes you sharper. And you just have way more depth. That to me is the biggest difference. The blue line for the centers for the defensemen. There's just way more options back there. So that's going to get better. And then with the center ice position, a healthy Norris, like a healthy Josh Norris and Stützle coming back as your 1-2 punch. So Pinto, a year under his belt. Like you just look like there's going to be no excuses. Like this team has to get off to a good start. We know that. We expect that. It's going to be exciting. Hopefully the DeBrincat thing gets settled, and then this team has to get off the ground running.
All right. So then what's a good start? Are we talking 500 hockey after the first month of September? Where do they need to be after November? Because we always say the American Thanksgiving is where you're at in the playoffs tends to usually end up where you end up the season. Like there's not a lot of movement after American Thanksgiving. Do they need to be 500? Do they need to be?
No, they got to be over 500. By Thanksgiving, you can't be a 500 team. You got to be over 500. With the construction of this roster, with the defense, 2 good goaltenders, and listen, health is always huge, right?
Yeah.
If this team stays healthy, there is the expectation, at least as far as I'm concerned, this is much better than 500. Has to be. Stützle, healthy Norris, Pinto coming off 20-plus goals. Get the situation with DeBrincat resolved. Great blue line, goaltending situation. Much better than 500. This team, to me, by Thanksgiving, is in at least the top 8. Anything under that, not acceptable. If the team is healthy team. If you're outside, changes will be made.
They've got that.
And I don't expect this team to get off to a bad start. I just, again, health is the big factor here, but I see this team getting off to a great start. I really do. I see no reason why it won't. Roster construction right now with the blue line and everything I stated, it's too good. They're young, they're fast, they play hard, and for all accounts, the only thing is if you don't get goaltending, and at least you have 2 options here. If one of them's not going, play the other one. So okay, I'll make this quick. I just looked if you look at the teams in their division, are they not? Where do we think they're at? Who do we think's the best team in the division right now? Is it still Tampa? Must be. It's a great question. I don't.
Where's Boston? Where's Florida?
I don't even want to guess on Boston right now.
Right? So
it's
like if they can be neck and neck, I don't know. Montreal's not better to me.
Yeah. Montreal's not better. I see them. I see them ahead of Detroit. Like, where's Buffalo going to be? Look at Buffalo, right? Look at the players they have on their roster. Like, they're a young, exciting team. They're fast. They got skill. They got some big players. They've got a good thing going there. Is Buffalo going to take that step? No, for me, it's I see them for sure. If they're not a top 8 team by Thanksgiving, there'll be changes. There has to be, but I don't see them not being. If they're not by Thanksgiving, then something has gone wrong, and then you got to reevaluate. But I don't see that not happening.
Based on the way I've seen teams handle July 1st, I think that there is some room for Ottawa to definitely improve there, right? Like,
well, yeah, it's like you look at the team. I don't know what type of team Washington is right now. Like they kind of seem to be like in a rebuild on the fly. Philadelphia, they're rebuilding there. Detroit's, I don't see them as a playoff team yet. I see Buffalo and Ottawa. I see Ottawa a little bit ahead of Buffalo. So we'll see. We'll see. What's that?
Philip Zadina in Detroit.
Yeah.
So here's a guy, right, that's picked behind Brady Tkachuk. Many people in Ottawa not happy that they didn't take Philip Zadina, and now he's on waivers. I don't think he gets down to Ottawa, which has the 11th crack at him. But interesting what they're doing with Philip Zadina.
Did that just happen?
Happened yesterday. So he'll clear this afternoon at noon, and we'll find out who's claimed him.
Yeah, someone's going to step up and claim him. Like, somebody drafted that high. You're going to have some scouts that had him and like him that are going to be pounding the table for him, even though he hasn't done anything in Detroit yet. Still a young player, right?
6th overall, 23 years old.
I would be surprised if somebody doesn't take a flyer on him.
He's got 190 games playing with Detroit, 28 goals, 68 points. Boy, that's it. Someone's going to, and he comes fairly cheap. I know he's going to need a new deal, but that's an interesting play there. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I don't know if he's the right answer in Ottawa to put on like a third line, but maybe.
Do you want? Yeah, I don't know. And I'll be honest, I haven't watched a ton of Zadina at the pro level. I haven't. I'm just going off the hype and the potential. But 190 games, you'd think he'd be. And like I said before, and a lot's based on he did get an opportunity there, but it's what you do when you get the opportunity, right? How do you handle it? Certain people take it, grab it, run with it. Stutzla, for example, got the opportunity to be the man last year, and look what he did. He just grabbed it and ran with it. Some guys do it, some guys don't. Some guys it takes longer.
That's what Steve Yzerman said.
Like it just and man, I'm surprised they put him on waivers though, because usually Detroit is the type of team that's just going to wait and they'll see. And it used to be the old saying with the Red Wings, right? We like to over marinate, like over ready. So
they had to make, but they had a decision, right? They had to make a move here.
Yeah.
Yzerman said it. Well, Stevie said, Stevie, like we're best buddies. He said, hopefully he figures it out at some point. He's just going to need some more time to do it. And maybe he can figure it out with us. If he stays, he'll just end up playing in the AHL.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I didn't see that one coming. I don't know if he's the right fit for Ottawa. Like, do you want to bring in a guy that is he the type of guy that you have to rebuild? You got to get his confidence back. Does Ottawa want to have a guy that they're kind of giving opportunity to, or let's see what he can do? I don't know. Like I said, to be honest, I haven't watched him a lot, so it's kind of unfair for me to comment on him on what type of player he is right now, because I have no idea. It just sounds like it'd be a project.
But they did it with Nick Paul though. They gave Nick Paul all kinds of chances.
But Nick Paul had to play in
figure it out.
But Nick Paul played in the minors for a while to figure it out too, right?
I know that, but he was able to do that with his contract. But all contracts now, after their entry level, when you're that high a pick, you get. So anyway,
it's just there's like that's a weird. that's kind of a weird comparison because Paul is like, he wasn't expected to come in. That's
He was
the thing
first
with
round pick.
Nick Paul.
Yeah. He played on the World Junior team.
Nick Paul wasn't a first round pick.
Am I wrong? Maybe.
Nick Paul was not a first round pick. He had the 4th round pick. Well, were you in New York lately, breathing in the air of New York? All that pot, all that pot in New York.
No,
City?
it's all the pot in Ottawa.
Nick Paul's not a first
101st
round
overall. Yeah, sorry, 101st overall.
4th round, right? Yeah, he's a 4th round pick. He's a hell of a junior player, but it just took it took him big body guys like that are big and rangy. His skating. Nick Paul's skating improved so much. People have no idea what Nick Paul did in his summers to make himself a better player. He was working with Shelly Kettles on his stride all the time, working on his skills with Pat Malloy, working with guys in town here, working with Sean Donovan. Like he wanted to get better, and don't forget he didn't have the pressure of being a top 5 pick on him. There's always pressure, but it's like people weren't saying, "Oh, what's wrong with Nick Paul? Why isn't he here yet? What's going on?" And the media, it's just took him a little while, and now he's just a real good, solid NHL player.
Yes.
Why do you think he was a 1st rounder? Where'd that come from?
Well, okay. First of all, Yorkie, I got a lot of names I got to try and remember just for you. And second of all, when he played the World Junior team, it's rare. Most of the time, they're all 1st round picks. That's why it just quickly came to my head. Mm-hmm. And he was drafted like 900 years ago. He drafted 10 years ago. I can't remember all that stuff.
Well, how did I remember it?
Because you had one name to think of.
I'm not even supposed to be a stats guy.
Oh, I've had enough of you today. Okay. We're back Monday. Next week. I gotta travel. So
where you heading?
Headed down southern US.
Oh, nice.
A little recruiting trip for my son to possibly go to a hockey academy. So
okay, good. That's good.
We'll see.
Gotta love those prep schools. It seems to be a lot of kids are doing that now.
Yeah. We'll see. It may not work out, and we'll be back here and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm trying to use your name.
You driving?
No, just a quick flight.
Okay.
Well, the plan is it's a quick flight. It's on Air Canada. I got to go through Pearson. I'm terrified.
You're fucked. Anytime you go through Pearson, just don't. Whatever you do, you don't. He's not bringing his hockey stuff, is he?
No.
Okay, thank God. Do not check your bags. You'll lose them for sure. Something's going to happen.
Terrified.
Yeah, I avoid Pearson now at all costs. Never go through there. It's friggin' dog shit.
I know. But the problem with the Ottawa, you can't get anywhere.
Well, if you fly direct, it's better to take a connection through Washington or something. Just avoid Pearson.
I was trying to use my points.
Oh, you come on, you cheapskate. Spend a little money. Hey, it's gonna come back to haunt you, man.
I know.
Text me when you're at the airport when you're delayed.
I'm just gonna send you a grumpy emoji. That'll be all you need to know. All right. Good luck on the golf course. We'll talk to you soon.
Right. See you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Coming in Hot is brought to you by Botano.ca. Please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel to never miss an episode.